So we're going to talk about Doctor Who, just raw data, basically. I think this is interesting, right? So we know that the ratings were bad. We've known that obviously for some time, but I thought we could take a look at the raw data itself and just see how truly bad it is, and how
Terrible.
the decline is real. Now, the decline is across the entirety of mainstream TV in the UK, but it's a poor argument to stipulate and say, well, that's just viewing habits. If viewing habits have changed, and they've changed for a reason, because people have become, I think, acutely aware of how propagandized they are. The programs have become, and people have resoundingly rejected all of that. So, yes, viewing habits have changed, but they've changed not for the reasons people claim, and they didn't need to change. They could have stayed the same, if not improved, because the population has increased. So let's take a look. This is a great article by Doctor Who TV, and they just go through some raw numbers. So I won't labor the point of kind of getting into all of this kind of stuff, but just raw numbers. So Christopher Eccleston, who did a run in 2005, overnight averages were across the entire seasons of his run were 7.72 million. Sorry, that's just overnight average across the entirety of his run. And then 7.95 million for consolidated average, which is the 7-day consolidated viewership. And then there's a catch up of 0.22. Now, his launch was nearly 10 million overnight viewers, right? So his premiere episode, 10 million overnight viewers, which is quite crazy. And so David Tennant, 7.88. So it starts to increase, 7.88 million overnight average, 8.35 for consolidated averages. So again, going up, catch-up increase, 0.48. And then Matt Smith, bit of a dive, went down. He wasn't as loved, right? 6.11 million. Consolidated average, still pretty good though, 7.98, so just under 8 million. So still pretty good, actually, not bad at all. Nearly 2 million on a catch-up. So actually, if you're looking at this, I mean, it kind of averages out to be a little bit higher almost, Matt Smith's there. Peter Capaldi, this is where it started to go quite, people were like, no. 4.55 million overnight. Consolidated average 6.42, catch up 1.87. Jodie Whittaker, 4.68 million. So you can see how low we're starting to go with this stuff, right? 4.68 million. Consolidated average, still pretty strong. Stronger than I thought it would be. 6.13 million, 6.13. Catch up 1.48. And again, actually started strong. Nearly 10 million viewers consolidated for her, beginning episode. So pretty strong. I think people were probably curious, so they just kind of tuned in for that, to be fair. And then obviously we went from Jodie Whittaker to David Tennant again. So he came back for 3 episodes. Now, 4.84 million, pretty bloody good. Consolidated average, 7.2 million. So way higher than Jodie Whittaker's. Catch up, 2.36 million. Now, interestingly, actually, if you're looking at it, so in just the 3 episodes, more than 21 million viewers. Just 3 episodes he was back. So that's pretty crazy, actually. And then we look at Ncuti Gatwa, Fruity Gaywad. 2.34 million viewers on average. 3.80 million viewers, consolidated average. 1.46 million on catch-up. Woeful.
That speaks volumes, doesn't it? That's fallen off a cliff. You could describe it that way.
Massively fallen off a cliff. Hugely. Now, as much as I like this article and this website, they do sort of discuss something in a broad way, which I think is misdirected. So they're like, To put the numbers in perspective, Doctor Who is not alone in ratings decline. Across the UK, viewership for linear TV has dropped sharply, particularly among young audiences. Other flagship BBC shows have seen their audience drop across the past few years, with a greater reliance on iPlayer catch-up and digital engagement. ITV Channel 4 have faced similar challenges, shifting more of their focus to streaming platforms as traditional broadcasters dwindle. That said, the industry-wide changes alone do not fully account for the sharper drop seen during Ncuti Gatwa's era, which is true. Elements such as scheduling, release strategy, season structure, and tonal direction may also have influenced audience retention.
It's all tonal. That's the thing, is that they put that at the very end when that's the primary cause. I mean, when you make dog shit, there's a very limited market for dog shit.
Yeah, and they sort of say this. They sort of beat around the bush here. They're like, in terms of raw numbers, Doctor Who's ratings have declined, but that decline is also part of a longer, more gradual trend shaped by how audiences consume TV. But that wouldn't be the case if the TV was good, right? Like, that actually just wouldn't be the case if the TV was good, right? Like, in the UK, we've seen a slow, gradual decline in the quality of TV and the sharp ramp up in propaganda that's been pushed through TV. So people have just checked out. It didn't have to go that way. And also you've got to remember, audiences viewership has gone down in the UK sharply, but the population has increased sharply in the UK, massively, exponentially, in fact, thanks to Boris waves and a bunch of detritus coming on, ashore. So actually, it shouldn't be doing that if the content was good. So there you go. That's it. Obviously, it fell off a cliff, like you said, but it's terrible. It's hilarious, though. And all the people sort of coping about this that were like, it's still going to continue. Yeah, mate, cope and seethe, mate. Like, the BBC's dead. That's why they're talking about the latest, Bo. I don't know if you saw this. The latest from the BBC is trying to get you to pay for the license fee included in your council tax, and it would be a banded situation that if you have a bigger house, you pay more for your TV license. That is genuinely what they're trying to say now. It's absurd. It is absurd, and they're just trying to tax people to oblivion because they know that people just don't want to watch the stuff. But the government needs their propaganda arm, which we know that the BBC absolutely is. So there you go. It's dead. It's crap. It's poo. RTD, the retarded, killed it. Over to you, Bo.
Well, yeah, you can see that even Jodie Whittaker, although it was declining there, it hadn't, I wouldn't say it had fallen off a cliff. It's certainly clearly defined to the tune of a couple of million. But with Ncuti Gatwa, it just, no one wants it other than the diest of die-hard fans, or that there is a type of person in Britain who just watches the BBC, regardless of anything. Regardless of whatever poison they're pumping into your living room, will always remain loyal. Boomers, I'm talking about boomers, will always watch the BBC, regardless of anything. It's been drilled into them for 60, 70 years that you watch the BBC. You watch BBC News, you watch EastEnders, you watch Doctor Who, whatever they put on, you watch. Points of View, whatever it is. So I guess they're the only people still watching. And the odd Doctor Who fan who actually relates to a gay black man. There's not that many of them. So, yeah. And it's interesting, actually, you say that the viewership falling off a cliff whilst the population is increasing massively. Yeah, hilarious. I mean, I imagine that Albanians fresh off the boat, literally fresh off the boat, and people straight from Nigeria or Bangladesh or India or Pakistan or Somalia, they're not diehard Doctor Who fans, are they? They're not tuning in. I know they're not going to be tuning in. They're not going to be slightly disappointed by the Jodie Whittaker era and waiting for the Ncuti Gatwa era to kick off. So yeah, we talked about this last week, didn't we? That whether it truly is dead, and we both, I think, anyway. I feel like they'll put it on the back burner for a while. I mean, maybe years, maybe 10 years or something. Yeah. But eventually, I would have thought they'll bring it back. Hopefully, we just live in a different era again, where this ultra woke race baiting, white guilt nonsense is over and done with, and we can go back to sort of a Sylvester McCoy or even like older normal Doctor, just normal sci-fi that's meant for kids. Who knows if that will ever happen now? The BBC is so captured at every possible level. I just hope they put it on the back burner for the rest of my life, at least.
You know, I'm so surprised that the Infinity Bomalians that they imported didn't want to watch a gay black man run around crying in every episode.
Yeah,
I'm so surprised. This was for them, you know. This is their representation.
Yeah, but your population increase is all Muslim. I mean, almost always. And so
it's not. That's a common misconception around the world.
Oh,
There's
really?
actually barely any of them here. There's not actually that many.
Well, then why are the ones always causing trouble on like bridges
I
and
know.
stuff by sticking people with sharp objects?
Because, well, that's just terrorism for you. But there's actually not that many here.
All right. Well, then you guys need to work on your PR about what the makeup of your your invaders are, because we don't we think your invaders are all Muslim here in the States. So
culture's right though, Nate. There are quite a lot. There are millions of Muslims here, first generation Muslims. I mean,
but it's not majority though, is what I mean.
Okay.
People look at the UK as if it's a Muslim country. It's like there's only 6 million of them. Like it's not actually that many if you're thinking about it. But yeah,
you're both right. I get it. Right.
Yeah. Optics, 100%.
But my whole point is, there's no way they're gonna, get down with a gay black dude. I mean, that's 6 million people that are not gonna watch that show.
Yeah.
You know,
absolutely.
I mean, I to be fair, I don't know what the kind of marketability is for a gay black dude. You know, in most any show. I mean, if that's like their thing. You know,
I think actually you raise a good point, right? Like it wouldn't be an issue if they didn't expressly market him as a gay black man, but they did.
Yeah.
If they were just like, this is just an actor. Like obviously it's still not representative. Properly,
obviously he floats higher than a balloon, but you
see what I mean though, right? Like,
no, I do. Their marketing is terrible. Like but they have to do it because you guys are trying to be in with the Western nations that are trying to destroy themselves. So the only way to be in that club is to put everybody in little boxes and then only acknowledge their boxes. Yeah, well, I mean, I would say you've done a pretty good job so far. I mean, we're trying to turn back the clock. We're going to get rid of our colonizers.
You're doing a good job.
We'll see about that. Good luck. I mean, genuinely, that wasn't sarcastic. Good luck.
No, hey, dude, why do you think the Marines are going to go down and and do some business?
Well, you think they're going to open fire, Miley style?
If they're engaged with violence, there is a certain kind of protocol where if you are engaged with violence, you may return violence. That is going to happen. These are military people. They are not police people.
So anyway, back to Doctor Who.
Oh, sorry. I thought we were talking about Doctor Who.
That went off the rails real quick.
Yeah, sorry about that.
We really want to talk about LA and Marines firing into crowds. That's what we really want, mate. That's what the chat wants.
The chat wants that. I'm going to tell you though that this is how did you get to where we are now in the States? You allowed for the takeover of culture and the representation garbage tasticness that got us here. I mean, that's what happened. When you subvert a culture, when you go in to take over another country, and we should have listened. There's this fellow that told us about this like 60 years ago that this was going to happen. But anyway, if you want to take over a culture, you just subvert it. You subvert it. You destroy that which holds the society together. And apparently the globalists figured that out real fast, and they called this massive thing called multiculturalism, which is a giant bit of poison. And they take great shows like this one, Doctor Who, and they subvert it. Not just your expectations and not just some of it. They subvert it all. They take it over and they infiltrate it and they fill it full of this garbage trying to influence the culture to get them to change their ways. You know, the things that made them a successful first world country and a civilization the likes of which the rest of the world wants to emulate. And they tear it apart so that they can try their filthy experiment with some form of communism or another, which always turns into an authoritarian dictatorship that literally starves its own citizens. And y'all just went through that in the form of your retired folks. I forget what you call them, pensioners, right? Your pensioners had to deal with no subsidy for their heating, so they were like perfectly fine to freeze out the elderly in your citizenry. Is any of that correct, or am I just like paying attention to
correct. This is way off top.
Oh, no, it isn't. It's directly tied to the BBC.
Let's talk
This is
Biden years. Let's talk about Kamala, what they did, their subversion.
Yeah,
we do actually have some tube chats about this. So Archer Merchant says, I'm not familiar with the cultural aspects of the UK as much, but is it possible that a large portion of the 2 million plus is just like in government buildings, airports, etc., that might have to be tuned to the BBC regardless? I actually think that's genuinely true. Yeah.
That's my argument. That's my argument about how CNN was so prevalent for so long, because they had contracts with the airports and the hospitals and the prisons that they provided the televisions and some such, but you had to like watch their propaganda. It's the same way at the BBC. Not only that, it's worse. They make you watch their propaganda and they make you pay for it.
We don't have to, but yeah.
Okay, well, like an old person's going to figure out how to unsubscribe from your communism.
Have you noticed as well? This started happening a few years ago. I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago or something. But YouTube, the first thing that it throws up to you, if you just type in, say, there's something in the news cycle. Say like LA riots or whatever it is, or pensioners heating. You type something like that into YouTube, and it will give you BBC, CNN. It will give you the lefty mainstream media thing. You have to It never used to do that. YouTube never used to be like that. I'm talking about quite a few years ago now. But now, so that also will add to their numbers in some way. If nothing else, if someone's completely impartial, don't know really what they're doing, they're a completely naive person, they'll be like, "Oh, right, that's the news, that's the narrative. I'll check out that on the telly, the actual telly." It's all been subverted.
Yeah. They did that. What was it that they did that in response to? There was something in response that they did that actually in response to. And Susan Wojcicki came out and said, "Yeah, we're curating all this stuff now." And it was like, so you're just going to be the arbiter of all of this now. That's a bit weird. And they began to deregulate down sort of rank. There you go. Down rank is the phrase. Down rank certain content. And it was so just very unusual, very well transparent, because they even said it as well. So it was just so bad. Someone in the chat will know what that was in response to. I can't remember. It's got another one here from Garrett Griffin, and says, "Greetings all. I took Doctor I Let You Go as my cue and hit the eject button. I've kept up via reviews and as the song goes, and that's good enough for me." Yeah. Brilliant comment. And Gary Thomas super chatted over on Streamlabs and says, "Bo, I think this is for culture more than Bo, but it says, Bo, I'm a gay black man, and when Ncuti was made the new Doctor, I knew things were going from bad to worse. If any ever need cheering, and if anyone ever needs cheering up, this is completely true. Go to the Twitter account of the Japanese ambassador to the UK. Wholesome is the only word I can use to describe his page. I've been there.
Yeah,
I've seen him. What a dude! What a legend!
Yeah,
fucking love him. What a legend!
He's really great.
Such a nice guy. Like, actually, that's someone that that's the kind of people we want here. That's the kind of person. We talk about immigration. Those are the kind of people that can move here. The people that actively engage in the culture and love the culture. Like, you can see such reverence for the culture that he's trying to sort of ingratiate himself into. Like, genuinely loves it.
He's more patriotic than anyone in our government or opposition or civil service.
Yes.
Hey,
Crazy.
anybody who loves me, I can appreciate. So thank you to that Japanese dignitary. I appreciate your support.
No, he's great. It's like whoever's advising him is right on the money. Like it's always like really niche British things that I don't know. Yeah, he's great. He's really good. I love him.
Absolute legend. Anyway, let's shuffle on from this. So